Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Victoria Skinner, and I'm going to start this off with a true story. So, a man walks into an interview room and refuses to shake hands with any of the females in the room. A few days later, he gets the call saying he didn't get the job. Could his lack of humility at the interview have been the turnoff towards his potential employer? Honestly, probably. But that leads me to a greater question, and that is, do gender differences really play that big of a role in business communication? After some research, I feel confident in saying yes, they do. As a millennial going into her third year in the workforce, I've had a lot of time and opportunity to observe my superiors, male and female, and just kind of get a feel for how they communicate with each other and how they interact with each other. And with all of that, I have noticed that they have three main differences, and that can be seen in their body language, their facial expressions, and their verbal communication just in general. And so with body language, females have a tendency to keep a very direct, face-to-face type contact communication style, and we're very direct with our eye contact. We like to keep that when we're talking. But on the other hand, men keep things a little bit more casual. They'll maybe tilt their bodies towards who they're talking to, but you'll never see like the direct contact, the face-to-face communication sense, because men take that as a sign of confrontation, and that's definitely something that needs to be avoided in the business world. And so personally, I've had experience with this in my male boss at work. Whenever he's talking to me and we're trying to communicate, he'll ever so slightly just tilt his body towards me, and it almost feels like he's just standing next to me. And as a female, that makes me feel a little bit awkward because I like that face-to-face direct communication. And so it's always interesting to see how we navigate and kind of meet in the middle to get that really productive communication across. And so that leads me to my next point, and that is the differences in facial expressions. So kind of confirming the stereotype, it's no secret that women have issues concealing their facial expressions. We're very expressive with our emotions, and we're also very quick to offer a smile and maybe ease a situation that has a little bit more tension than we'd like. On the other hand, men are very good at concealing their emotions. You can hardly ever tell what they're thinking because they have mastered that poker face. And as matrimonial attorney Eleanor B. Alter says, who is from a nationally recognized law firm in New York called Wolf and Foley, she says that men feel less frightened by negotiations. And that's very necessary in the workforce because you kind of need to send your best soldier into battle, in a sense, when negotiations are taking place. And a woman might be one to jump more towards an emotional appeal and not necessarily be able to stand her ground in that sense. So the differences actually do have strengths in that way. And speaking of negotiations, that leads us to a lot of verbal communication. And there are differences in that too between men and women. Women, in a professional sense, are seen as more caring and nurturing communicators. We kind of want to keep everything peaceful and make sure there's equality in the room of people that we're speaking with. We want to make sure our audience feels comfortable. On the other hand, men are quick to assert their dominance. They're quick to raise their volume, and they're known to interrupt and speak over speakers, especially if the speaker is female. And that kind of disproves the stereotype that women speak more than men. There have been plenty of studies out there to show differently, and I have found one conducted by Assistant Professor of Biostatistics at Harvard University, J.P. O'Nella, and his colleague, Professor David Laser from Northeastern University. They conducted a study with men and women, and they concluded that in a business setting, group setting of about 6 or 7 people, men are actually the ones to step up and try to take control of the room and talk more and assert their dominance and their presence and their power. So, stereotypes disproved. And in conclusion, if you want to learn more about all of this, gender role differences in communication and stuff, I suggest going to Forbes.com or reading Forbes magazine in the print, because they are very good at talking about these gender differences in the professional world. They're very business associated. And so overall, We've learned about the differences in body language, facial expressions, and verbal communication between men and women, and we have discussed many of their differences. But I'd like to leave y'all with the idea that these differences can actually come together and be seen as strengths. In our unity, we're all trying to achieve the same common goal, and that is success in the business world. So why not work together and put our differences aside to achieve that one very goal? Thank you so much. Hope you'll have a great day.